What's up, everybody? It is your girl, your diva in knowledge, Lady Mocha, representing Mocha's Cafe de Paris. Want to give a big up to all of my subscribers. I want to thank y'all for y'all loyalty, y'all appreciation, y'all donations, all of your positive feedback. Again, I thank each and every one of you for being so supportive of me throughout this whole journey. For all of you who are just now kind of tuning in, if you didn't catch my last upload that I believe I uploaded, I think it was Tuesday or Wednesday, I am doing my Black Love series. I did part 1 yesterday. For those of you who did not get a chance to view it, I suggest that you view it so you could be in alignment with the recipe, with the topic that I'm presenting to you. This is a 5-part series. Black Love. I did part 1 for Does Black Love Exist? And as I stated, Black Love does exist. Regardless of the garbage that you're hearing on these YouTube streets, these black male commentators that are giving black men all this negative content about black women not being dateable, not being marriageable, basically trying to convince other black men to start dating women outside of their race, or to start traveling to other countries to look for love from other women of other cultures. And again, a lot of people, a lot of these brothers that are giving this content, they're scorned in their own way. They have had negative experiences with black women, or either they know other black men who have had negative experiences with black women, and what they're doing is they are taking their own personal biases and prejudices about black women, and they have learned to generalize it, and they apply it to their messages on their platform, when the truth of the matter is all black women are not the same regardless of what. And not only we have these scorned brothers out here that are delivering, these negative messages and this negative content about black women, you have a lot of these bitter black sisters that are using their platforms to basically start this bitter black woman movement, persuading and manipulating other black women to give up on dating brothers, dating black men, to start swirling, dating outside their race, basically feeding all of this poisonous, toxic content and feeding this garbage to other black women who do stand a chance. They probably stand a better chance of getting real love compared to what they stood, and I hate the fact that there's so many black men and black women that are bitter and are scorned, and they are using their platforms to basically condemn other black men and put down other black women, when the truth of the matter is not all black men are the same, not all black women are the same. It's just that some people keep choosing the same type of black men or choosing the same type of black women. So a lot of people are not going to take accountability for their own mistakes anyway. So that's why it's very important that when you listen to these YouTube content creators, that you take whatever information they give you, take it with a grain of salt. Because again, everybody's not giving advice from a good place. A lot of these brothers and sisters are giving content from from a negative standpoint. It's a lot of black men and black women that are still bitter from things that have happened in the past in their relationships with the opposite sex. So again, we have to be careful who we allow to give us knowledge and information, because again, if you listen to enough of negative material and information all the time, that stuff will consume you. It will basically it will basically just influence your whole outlook in life as to how you view black women as a black man and how you view black men as a black woman. So again, be careful who is putting this poison in your ear, because the truth of the matter is love does not always happen under the best circumstances. And this is the reason why I'm doing the part 2 of my black series. And for part 2, for tonight's recipe, for tonight's menu, is black series part 2. Love doesn't come the way you expect it to. And that's really the God's honest truth, because the truth of the matter is, there's so much negative publicity in the YouTube streets as far as black men and black women building a foundation, as far as building a marriage and building a relationship, because you're hearing too much negative information on these YouTube streets. And we have to be realistic that love doesn't always come the way we look for it. In other words, you can be meeting somebody that has the best intentions, that would qualify as a good wife or would qualify as a good husband, but because you're meeting them at a point in their life where their business is not in order, you may meet a woman who's just came out of a bad abusive relationship and she hasn't had a chance to heal. It doesn't mean she's not a good woman. It just means that unfortunately you just so happened entered into her life when she was going through a rough season. And the same thing for you women out there that are dating men. You may meet a man that's down on his luck, staying with his mama, lost his apartment, went through a bad divorce, wife ended up with everything. And we are so quick to judge one another based on the current circumstance, not understanding that, hey, just because you met that person while they were down, that don't mean they was always down like that. That don't mean they was always in a struggle. Life happens. We lose jobs, we lose marriages, we lose things. The longer you live on this earth, you're going to lose things. And I, for one, was very fortunate. Me and my husband, we met each other. We both were going through a rough stage in our lives. He wasn't completely... His divorce had not been finalized, even though him and his wife went separate ways and she lived in her own house and he lived in his own house and they just shared custody as far as the children. I met him at a bad season. I could have completely written him off and said, you know what, your stuff is not in order. Your shit is not in alignment. I'm not about to deal with you knowing you don't have your divorce finalized and this and that, and then you got kids. I could have rolled them off immediately because, again, we've been fed by these YouTube content creators that don't deal with people who got baggage, these women who down and out, these women who in a struggle, or these black men who in a struggle, when the reality is all of us in a struggle in some form or another. Even if you have a good paying job, even if you have your college degrees, that don't mean you don't have areas in your life where you're not struggling. So none of us have it 100% together. And it's just so many people in these YouTube streets that are so hypocritical with their platform because they want to sit up here and guide other people on what they need to look for with a black man, as far as what a black man is, as far as what a black woman is. When the truth of the matter is, half of them are not going to be honest. They will tell you the people who they are dealing with. Now, keep in mind when I say that sometimes you can meet somebody in a rough season. That's not to say that you should accept somebody because they're down on their luck. But basically what it means is it boils down to you having discretion. It's one thing to meet somebody when doing a drought, because we all have droughts. We all have seasons in which things are not working out within our favor. And it doesn't mean we're just, totally in the struggle. We're just going through a temporary situation. You know what I mean? So we all go through those periods of ups and downs. So you still have to have discretion, because just because somebody is down on their luck, you don't just completely count them out and figure, okay, this sister's down on her luck, or this guy, this man is down on his luck. He's struggling, staying with his mama. He just moved out of his apartment. Just because you met somebody in a down period, that don't mean they've always been down, and that don't mean they plan on staying down. So whenever you encounter a certain individual that you may like or you may have a connection with, but what may be holding you back is the fact that they're going through a struggle, there's a way you can still connect with them without getting involved in the struggle. Give them advice, give them some type of guidance, give them some type of encouragement. You, for one, you've been in a situation where you were in your down period and you know what it's like to be down on your luck, and you needed somebody to uplift you and to encourage you, but they didn't enable you. There's a difference between somebody encouraging you and somebody enabling you. So if you meet somebody during a rough patch and they're at least have a positive attitude, and you see that they're just not talking the talk, but they're actually walking the walk, that yes, even though you may meet a man who did have a good job and had his stuff together, but he's going through a divorce, but you see him progressing. He's just not complaining and whining and not making any boss moves. You see he's working, he's stacking up bread, he's basically elevating, so that lets you know that, okay, this is somebody you could potentially build to have something with, because not only are they used to the struggle, but they don't allow the struggle to get the best of them. And the same thing, you may meet a woman who's down on her luck. You know, she just got out of an abusive relationship, and in the back of your mind, you might want to write the sister off because you already figure, no, she's problematic. She got all this and that going on, but that does not mean she's going to allow her circumstances to make her bitter. But in some instances, some women can go through and not allow it to make them bitter, but it will make them better. So as long as she's progressing, and she's not one of them sisters that's just whining and complaining about everything that was done to her and all of what she's going through, as long as you see her progressing, and as long as you see her you know, making moves, and she's not stationary and just whining day in and day out about the same problem over and over and over, but you see no growth, don't write the sister off right away. Because again, I was at a very down period during the time when my husband met me. I had a nice car. I had my own room. I was straight, you know, and it just so happened he came into my life during bad timing when everything was wrong. But what I did do was, I didn't, you know, I shared with him what I went through, but I did not allow him to see me just wither through it and not grow, you know. So he saw that I was ambitious regardless of my current situation, and he saw that I was making moves. And the same thing, you know, I could have wrote him off because of his situation, but, you know, I saw him making moves. You know, they went ahead and finalized the divorce and stuff. She got remarried, and, you know, we were able to build and keep progressing and moving forward. You know, we both didn't just stay in our down period. If anything, we both built each other. And the problem is, you know, we hear all of these things in the streets about, you know, you need to meet a man or meet a woman who's already built. And I agree, but at the same time, I disagree, because sometimes God is kind of, you have to realize God is like a teacher. You know, like, some teachers have to give certain students a certain test. You know, every student in the classroom in some schools, you know, they give them different grades. They give them different assignments. Some assignments may be a little bit more difficult than others, and some may be a little bit more easier, but it depends on that child's comprehension and educational and academic level, you know. So that child, depending on their academic status, they may can handle a test that's a little bit more challenging. And then there are other students that cannot handle a test that's too challenging, because they don't have the comprehension or the academic skills to be able to take some type of test. And that's the way life operates. You know, some of us, we want what we hear others state, but that don't mean it's going to work for you. Even though you may have your homeboys or your homegirls, your friends telling you, man, you need you a woman who already got her stuff together. You need you a man who already got his stuff together. That's true, but at the same time, that may not be for you. God may have you designed to uplift another brother or sister who's down. And like I said, uplift. That don't mean enable. I'm not saying if a sister's down, you're supposed to pay her bills, or a brother down, you're supposed to help him pay all his child support. No, but what I'm saying is, sometimes, you know, God already has decided who he has chosen for you, who you are destined to be with. And if you're allowing all of this garbage that you're hearing in the YouTube streets, that you're hearing in the salon shops, that you're hearing in the barber shop, you're hearing your girlfriend say, your homeboy say, and they don't know near as much as you, when you allow this garbage to contaminate your intellect, you will pass up a good thing just because you're looking at the current situation, but you're not looking at the overall picture. You're not looking at the fact that this person is a good man or a good woman. They just so happen in a bad situation. They're not whining. They're not crying. They're not looking for sympathy. They're not looking for empathy, you know, and you still have that choice to say, no, I don't want to deal with a person who's going through the struggle. I want a person that's already built. But let me tell you something. You can meet a person that may already be built in some areas, but they're still going to struggle in other areas. This man in other words, ladies, if you meet a man, you may think you got you a winner because he has a good job and he has his own home. He makes A+ credit, but guess what? He may have all of that, and he may be an emotionally scarred brother, meaning that even though he has all of these credentials going for him financially, the fact that he's never gotten past what he's gone through in the past for other women who have did him in, who have taken advantage of him, he still ain't got it all together. Because guess what? That part of him, you're not going to be able to help him accomplish. That's something he has to accomplish within himself. And the same thing for you guys. You may meet a woman that may be have her stuff together as far as all her degrees. She make her own money. And you may figure, okay, I got a good woman who got her stuff together. I ain't got to help her with the bills. I ain't got to help her get her stuff in check. But yeah, she may have a lot of emotional baggage. The point of the matter is this. You know, you can't be buying into these Tyler Perry stories and listening to this garbage in the YouTube streets that the perfect man or the perfect woman has to come at the perfect time of your life. Because the truth of the matter is, things don't always work out when things are going well. It just doesn't. You know what I mean? Life is not designed for everything to just perfectly fall in place. You think about opportunities you had in the past. Maybe there was a good job that came up when there was a death in the family. Or you've been struggling trying to get pregnant for years, and you finally got pregnant, but it's during the time when you're not receiving any income. The truth of the matter is, you can have the right thing that's coming into your life at the wrong time, and vice versa. You know, you could be meeting the man or the woman that's destined for you, but because of their current situation, you're willing to walk away from something that's just a temporary situation that y'all can possibly grow from and learn together. Because the truth of the matter is, you really find out what kind of man or woman you're dealing with when you're in the struggle. It's easy for someone to love you and accept you when you got everything lined up and going well. It's easy for a woman to want you guys. You got your own car, you got your own house, you're making good money, you know, you're not in a struggle. It's easy for a woman to be attractive to you or to want to be with you because she's meeting you on the up and up. But let you be down, you lose your car, you got to start from scratch, and she doesn't want to give you the time of day. Now, it could be one of two reasons. Either she feels like, okay, you are not showing any signs of progressing, or either, you know, she may feel like if she does take a chance, depending on if she's done it for other men in the past and accepted a brother when he was down, and as soon as he got on his feet, he started shining on his behind and showing his ass off. It may be things like that that may deter a woman from wanting to deal with you during your downtime. And the same thing with you ladies. You know, you going through a struggle, and it's been that particular guy may be interested in you, but he's probably put himself out there on the line for a female before, and that female had used them. So again, it's all about discernment. I can't give you a black or white answer like how you know when to help somebody, or how you know if a person has good intentions if you do decide to help them. That is something that you have to seek spiritual discernment about. You get what I'm saying? So those are just a few examples, but the whole point of the matter is this: things don't perfectly line up when it comes to love. It just doesn't. Don't listen to these Tyler Perry stories. Don't listen to what these people tell you in the street, because people are not going to be honest with you and tell you how their relationship got established. You know what I mean? Everybody wants to make their relationship seem perfect. Like, you know, when I met this man or I met this woman, they had all of this going great for themselves. And that may have all been true. But guess what? Sooner or later, it's still going to be things that they're going to have to go through with that person, because all relationship comes with tests. You know what I'm saying? So it's just all a part of being a grown man and a grown woman having to live with this thing that's called life. Okay, so that's the main thing. That's the main point that I wanted to make. Timing is not always good. And if you are looking at somebody's current situation versus seeing what they're doing to come out of their current situation, you may very well pass up a good thing, you know. So the next thing is this: the reason why a lot of black men and black women have not been too lucky in getting relationships is because they have already basically chosen a type. They have already chosen a type. I can't tell you how many times I've heard many black women and black men say, I have a certain type of man or a certain type of woman. I've heard black women say, you know, if they were to date a black man, you know, he can't have bad credit. He can't have children. He can't have never have been married before. You know, all these unrealistic expectations that we basically develop for ourselves. You definitely set yourself up for disappointment when you have all these unrealistic expectations. Now, this is not to say that you shouldn't have standards or you should not set any type of principles or guidelines, but some of y'all expectations are just straight out ridiculous. And the truth of the matter is, even if somebody is 80% of what you want them to be, it's going to be that 20% that's going to have some things that you don't want, that you're not going to deal with. Nobody's going to come with the full package. I guarantee you. It's just not going to happen. And the same thing for you men. You have your expectations because you're listening to these dudes pollute y'all on the YouTube streets about what type of black women you need to avoid. Avoid a black woman who got kids. Avoid a black woman who got weave, who will weave. Avoid a black woman who's not light-skinned enough. Avoid a black woman who's not in top shape. You know, all of these unrealistic expectations. And I guarantee you, if half of you men that's listening to these guys in the YouTube streets pollute y'all with this garbage about what type of black woman y'all should deal with, if y'all saw the type of women that they had, you probably wouldn't even be interested in the type of women they're with. Some of them ain't even dating sisters. They dating on the outside of sisters. And so those are the ones who definitely can't give you an opinion because they're going to be negative regardless of what. You know what I mean? So don't let somebody deter you from looking for black love just because they gave up. Because I can rest assured, even if he's with this white woman, Puerto Rican woman, or whatever type of woman, you know, he puts on the pedestal, he's having some challenges with her, regardless of what. Even if she is this top-notch, you know, woman that he puts on the pedestal, it's issues he's going through, whether if it may be something as simple as he may be crazy about her and she may be crazy about him, but her family is not fond of him because he's a black man, and her white daddy who's a retired police officer, or her mother who's a retired nurse, wanted her to marry somebody within the same race, you know, and they don't accept them. You know, people always want to glamorize what crossing the other side is like, but they never want to sit up there and really tell you the real deal, like what's really going on. And the same thing with these sisters out here who's dating outside of their race. They want to sit up here and put you know, Caucasian kings or whatever on the pedestal, and yeah, he's so good to me, you know, he's better, he's been the best thing that ever happened to me since I stopped dealing with brothers and this and that. And she's not telling you the real deal. She's not telling you that the disadvantages, you know, the fact that she can't bond with his family, you know, that his mother may not even like her, his father may not even like her, you know, it's all type of challenges. You know, we need to start putting folks down who got their own preferences with love, because it don't matter who you love or who you try to be with, it's going to be some type of issues at hand. And it's not the situation, it's what you and that individual do to make the best of it that keeps the relationship going. You know what I mean? It's how y'all carry yourselves and how y'all handle the situation versus how y'all are allowing the situation to handle y'all. It has nothing to do with skin color, and they don't even have nothing to do with sexual orientation or whatever your preference is. It's the matter of both of y'all being mature enough and being strong-minded individuals and not allowing outside influences to deter y'all from how y'all feel about one another. That's all it boils down to. Now, like I stated, all of these unrealistic expectations of what's the ideal black man and what's the ideal black woman. And I realized in my years of dating, before I met my husband, I had all of these preferences. I had a list of what type of man that I was looking for, and I've already explained that in part 1. So if you haven't viewed part 1, you can reflect on that. You know, I don't want to repeat myself too many times over and over. But I had a type. And when it all boiled down to it, I had to discover in a hard way that just because something was my type, that don't mean that I was their type. And there's too many of you brothers out here, and you black women, y'all have all these high expectations as to what kind of man or what kind of woman you want. And the truth of the matter is, the majority of what you want doesn't mean it's going to work for you, because that's what you got your mind and your heart set on. You know, I've heard brothers that have, you know, put down black women because they've had bad experiences in the past with black women, and they decide, you know, they're not checking for sisters anymore. You know, they rather date women on the outside of other races and cultures, and I don't think there's nothing wrong with that, but the thing about it is their whole attitude behind it. That's my issue. You know, it's one thing, you know, if you genuinely love a woman because of who she is, but you decided you want to change your whole outlook on what type of woman to date, all because you've made some poor choices. And the truth of the matter is, a lot of things we go through was things we put upon ourselves. We want to blame black women. We want to blame black men, when the bottom line was a lot of us need to start holding ourselves accountable and start blaming other people for the poor decisions and the poor choices we make. Sometimes when you thirsty or you ignorant, young, dumb, full of cum or whatever, you know, you will pick up the wrong black man or black woman. It doesn't mean all black men or all black women are no good. You just have to be more careful as to what type of black man or black woman you pick up. But I've heard men who have all these expectations, and they be interested in these type of women, and then when it boils down to it, these women are not checking for them. You may want a sister that don't have kids, but guess what? May meet a woman who don't have children because that's your thing. You all against women who got kids, but that don't mean she's going to be feeling you like that. That don't mean she's going to be interested in you. And the same thing with, you know, being a black woman. We have expectations of what type of men we want. You know, we want men, you know, men with 8+ credit and, you know, don't have kids and never been married. Yeah, okay, when you can meet this kind of guy. But who's to say he's going to be checking for you? He may have all the credentials, and that's what a lot of y'all have to understand. Doesn't matter if a person fits your criteria and that person has all the credentials that you see as relationship material in as far as your preference. But that, whatever is your preference, that don't mean you're going to be their preference. And I had to find that out the hard way, because the dudes that I was checking for that had the credentials, he had the credentials, but there was no chemistry. And that's what a lot of people, that's why black love, we keep failing, we keep missing out, because you're too busy focusing on the credentials instead of the chemistry. Because the truth of the matter is, I know I may lose brownie points for this, because the last thing anybody wants to hear is, you sometimes, if you tell somebody you might have to date a woman with kids, when you know you can't stand dating women with kids. And this is not to say now that you can't look up and meet a man or a woman that has all of the credentials and then the chemistry is still there. But that's like hitting lotto. You know what I mean? Very rarely you're going to find someone that has all the credentials and y'all have the connection. That's like hitting scratch off. You know, if you've been lucky in love and you found a man or woman that has all the credentials and then y'all had the chemistry which gave y'all the connection, then that's wonderful. But I have to be honest and let everybody look at the downside, because it very rarely plays out like that. You may meet a woman that has none of the credentials, but y'all can connect mentally and spiritually, regardless of the issues she got going on in your life that you would not want to deal with. That may be the right woman for you. And the same thing with you women out here. You know, meet a man and he's down at his worst, you know, and he may not have the credentials, but if y'all have good conversation and y'all are vibing and y'all are on the same page mentally, if y'all on the same page mentally, y'all mental connection will help will actually be able to be an aid to one another to build and grow one another. You know, because again, when me and my husband met, we was not in good place. Financially, mentally, emotionally, we did not have our stuff together. Okay, and I think that's the reason why a lot of us as black men and black women, we lose out on love, because we want the timing to be right. We want people to come in our life when they got their stuff together. We want people to come into our life when we got our stuff together. We don't want to meet, what's the chances of believing you're going to meet Mr. Right and Mrs. Right, and you're going through an effed up ass situation at the time? It's hard to see the smoke from the clouds when you're in a bad situation. But what I will recommend is, you know, don't just push love aside because you're going through something. Because that you may be pushing away your potential mate. But what you can do, if your fear is, opening your world up to somebody, knowing you're in a vulnerable space, you can keep that connection going, but just keep your personal life separate from your dating life. You don't have to explain all your struggles. You don't have to explain, I'm staying with my mom, I'm staying with my dad, whatever. You know what I mean? Until you're really comfortable enough and you feel like you can get on that level and be open with them. But again, all of these types, you don't want this kind of woman. You don't want a man who drives a school bus. You don't want a woman who works at City Trends, who does hair for a living, because you don't consider that a quote unquote a career. But does that mean that she's not the man? She's not the woman for you. And ladies, because he's cutting hair and working at a barbershop and he's not a lawyer or a doctor, like your parents have schooled you to meet that type of man on that level, that does not mean he will not be the right guy for you. Because think about it. All of us as grown men and grown women, just reflect on that one person that had everything you thought you wanted. Just reflect on that one particular person who you just knew was the right man or the right woman for you. And y'all ended up not even being together. At the time, that was your type. At the time, she looked good. At the time, he looked good. At the time, she had she didn't have all of these issues that you feel like a lot of black women today have. But even with all of that, it didn't keep y'all together. All of these types and stereotypes is the reason why black love is slowly but surely diminishing, because we look at each other from a distance before we could even really get to learn about each other, before we already pass judgment and figure, oh man, she got all them kids, she irresponsible. Who all her baby daddies is. Not knowing that, who's to say she was married to the father of her children, that she had all 5 of her kids from. Maybe she was married and her husband died, and now she's a single mother. You can't look at a woman with 5, 6 kids and figure she was irresponsible, negligent. Find out the history. And don't figure because a woman don't have kids that she's always been responsible. Maybe she's been just as promiscuous as the woman who has had a bunch of kids. She just got lucky and got smart about it and got on birth control, or either she can't have kids. And the same thing, ladies, just because, a man don't have a bunch of kids and you meet a man that does have kids, you want to write him off, and figure, oh, he got this child support, he got that. Find out the situation. Find out why you're dating him. If he has it all under control, is he being responsible? Because he may be the type of man, even with his situation, he may have his situation in control. He may not have the type of baby mamas who knocking on your door that's going to make trouble for you because they respect him. They respect him for the way he carries himself as a man. You could meet a guy who don't have no kids, but that don't mean he's problem free. You may think you're playing it safe. I dated guys who didn't have children, and it's not to persuade anybody to go against what they believe in, but you have to have more than one way of looking at things, because that's the problem with the black community. We have a tunnel vision. We want to look at things one way and one way only, because that's what keeps us comfortable. You could meet somebody who don't have kids. That don't make them responsible. Their credit could be just as toe up, and who got kids, their credit more on point, because by them having children, they had to learn to be responsible. Some people who don't have kids are irresponsible as hell, because they know they don't have to take care of nobody. So they know they can go out there and mess up, because it's not going to fall back and reflect on nobody, and it's not going to fall back on nobody but them. When you have children, it gives you a different perspective. You're a little bit more careful. But then again, you got some who got a bunch of kids and they still just as irresponsible as they've always been when they didn't have kids. So again, it boils down to discretion. We can go back and forth. What if? How about this? How about that? It's 1,000 damn scenarios. My thing is, I don't care who you're dealing with. Kids, no kids, good credit, bad credit, attractive, unattractive, been married before, never been married. Do your research, take your time and get to know that person. And so you can really find out what you're up against, and pray for spiritual discernment. You have to ask for spiritual discernment. That way the enemy does not manipulate you, because what you see is not always what you get. Just because it glitters, it doesn't mean it's gold. You cannot go by looks anymore. Looks are very deceiving. I don't care if you meet a woman with hair all down her back and she never wore weave in her life. Underneath all of that, she may be mentally deranged. She may be a woman that came up with a rough childhood, had a lot of problems, been molested, all type of emotional trauma she done experienced. And if you don't know that, you may be taking on more than you could afford to handle as a man. And I know as a man, men, y'all have this thing where y'all feel like y'all can handle everything, no matter how bad or how intense it is. But certain things, even as a grown man, you're not equipped to handle. You're not equipped to handle a woman with a lot of emotional trauma. So before you go focusing on how good a woman looks, you better make sure her brain is intact. And the same thing with you ladies. Stop looking at how big his package is. He could be a narcissist. He could be a schizophrenic. You know what I mean? People don't, mental illnesses are not always easy to detect. So again, you have to get off the stereotype of, well, I don't like these type of women. I don't like these type of men. Sometimes you got to step outside of the box. You the type of person, you have a tunnel vision and you got your mindset. This is what I want. If I don't get it, take it, leave it. It is what it is. Then as long as you have that narrow-minded attitude and you're not really to expand your horizons and broaden yourselves to other things, and it doesn't mean you have to get with that person right away. Let's say if you meet two different women, just to give you guys an example, you meet two different women. Let's say you're dating, you're not committed to anybody. You meet one woman with kids, and you a guy, you don't care for kids. And you meet one woman who don't have kids. My thing is, you don't have to rush and make a decision to be with either one. You take your time and date both as long as you can until you really feel you have a connection. Because let me tell you something. Honestly, once the connection is there, ladies and gentlemen, baggage don't even matter. It don't even matter. Once you get to that point where you are really feeling that man or you are really feeling that woman, whatever issues that person have, your love for one another is going to see y'all through it all. It's as simple as that. Because like I said, I didn't want to be with a man I had children. That was one of my biggest pet peeves, and I've stressed that, and it took me a long time to get out of not feeling that way until I met a man who just gave me a whole outlook on life, to the point to where his situation didn't even bother me. All I was able to focus on was how well I was connecting with him. So we found a way to make it work, without it burdening our relationship. So like I said, if the connection is strong enough, guess what? It ain't gonna matter who got what baggage, who coming in with chaos. It ain't gonna matter. The connection is strong. Y'all are going to find a way to get through it. And that's how you know what type of man or woman that you really got. You know what I mean? Because, like I said, anybody can love you when you are up. But when a person's willing to accept you at your worst, that's when you know you have somebody in your corner that really loves you for you and really supports you for you. Like I said, me and my husband, we both had a decision to make. I could have been with other people. He could have been with other people. But the connection there was so strong. We was willing to fight through it however we needed, whatever we needed to do. Because anytime you see a couple together, believe me, they have had to weather some storms together. And that's the purpose of me doing this series. To make everybody understand that, love is work. It is a job. It's a job. And you have to really work at it constantly. And I would also say that you have to keep in mind that every relationship is custom made. Okay? What works for your friends, what works for your sister, your brother, your homeboys, whoever, that don't mean it's going to work for you. The way you connect with a person is how you and that person connect, regardless of what outsiders have to say. Oh, why are you checking for her, man? She used to be a stripper. She used to be a this. She used to be a that. Let me tell you something. When the connection is there, you can't ignore it. When it's there, that past is not going to matter. The situations at hand is not going to matter. You can't ignore a connection once it's been established. But at the same time, you cannot allow outside influences like this garbage in the YouTube streets, these people who have not been lucky in love. They want to discourage you from possibly building something with someone that may be the perfect fit for you. Don't miss out on your blessing because of other people's bitterness. Because at the end of the day, you have to do what's best for you. Because the truth of the matter is, every last one of us, including myself, we all are effed up in one way or another. Everybody want to get on these YouTube streets and talk about what black men ain't capable of and what black women ain't capable of. But not one time, and I've been a subscriber for a very long time before I started my own channel, I rarely hear any of these brothers really admit how effed up they really are. I have yet to hear any black woman to admit how effed up she really is. But we want to build these freaking platforms and degrade one another when we can't even come clean about our own flaws and our own thoughts and our own hang-ups. Because don't let the knowledge fool you. I wasn't always where I am now. I was one of those women, bitter, hateful, couldn't stand to see another black woman or another black man, grow and be promoted to bigger and better blessings, because I wasn't where I needed to be. And it took a lot of years and it took a lot of time for me to mature and get to that place to realize that I don't have to be hating on somebody else's blessings. We all have a winning season and we all have a losing season. Just because somebody's winning, it's no need of me hating on them, because I don't know how long they had to go through a losing season. And vice versa. But my thing is, until we come clean with our own faults and our own flaws, we don't need to be around here guiding other folks on what the hell they going wrong. Before you as a black man feed other black men all this poison about black women, you need to do some self-evaluation and figure out why you so hateful and why you so bitter and why your platform is constantly about dragging black women through the mud, because evidently you got some hatred issues and it's some underlying issues that you're not dealing with because you're allowing your ego to overshadow the fact that you are a hurt man. I don't know if your mother hurt you. I don't know if your first baby mama made your life miserable by putting you on child support and I just mentally burnt you with all black women. I don't know what your problem is. But you need to get it together and stop polluting these other brothers in the black community who want to build with black women. And it's the same thing for these black sisters out here. As black women, just because we didn't get lucky in love and things didn't work out in our favor, we don't need to be around here polluting other black women who want to be loved by another black man. Just because it didn't work for you, that don't mean it's not going to work for other people, for another black woman. My thing is, if as YouTube content creators, if we would just be honest and say what the hell we did wrong to end up getting the people in our lives who brought us so much pain and disappointment, if we are willing to admit what we went wrong, we could save another black man or another black sister from falling into the same trap, versus just sitting up here saying, stay away from black men, stay away from black women. When are you going to let your subscribers know what the hell you did to attract so much of the wrong black women or the wrong black men in your life? I have yet to have had one YouTube content creator come clean and say, you know what, I'm going to tell you the reason why I ended up getting the wrong black woman in my life. Because I was a male whore. I was going around screwing every Kim, Keisha, and Kiki. And I didn't care. until I messed around and got involved with the wrong chick who made my life miserable and put me on child support. And this is the reason why I hate all black women, and I do my platform against all black women, because I'm still mad and angry and bitter about the black women that I've allowed in my life to bring me chaos. And I'm angry and I'm bitter about that. And misery wants company. I want these other brothers out here to share my misery, to share my anger against other black women. Because that is what makes me feel good. That is what boosts my ego. And the same thing with you, these sisters out here. Because they're so miserable. They're scared to see another black woman be happy and be lucky in love, and be lucky in their marriage. Think because a woman is married and she's happy, she's put on a front, she's put on a facade, because you're so miserable, you can't comprehend how can a black woman be so happy with another black man, because you've had so much bad luck with black men. So you looking at these other sisters that are happy and calling them fake and saying they're being phony. No, she's not being fake. She's enjoying her moments and her happiness. Let her have that. You could have had the same thing, but you chose to have this gold digging mentality. You want the big ballers. You wanted this, you wanted that. Who's to say this black woman here didn't accept this man when he didn't have nothing? And now that he's successful, he's giving back to her everything that she's helped him to build. You're looking at other people's story and hating on them and don't even know all of what they had to go through to build it. Because you got some women out there that's patient enough to stand by a man despite his obstacles. And then you got others, they don't want to put in the work. They want him to already be well built. It just amazes me, y'all. But this is why I'm doing this 4 or 5 part series on black love, because I'm trying to break down the elements of what's causing black men and black women to give up on black love. As I stated in this series, the 2 things that's holding us back is timing. We feel like if the timing ain't right, the person that is in our life, they may not be right. And that's not true. The right man and the right woman can come along at the wrong time in your life. And that may be God's way of testing y'all to see if y'all are willing to accept each other at each other's worst. Because if you could accept each other at y'all worst, imagine how powerful y'all would be at y'all best. Anybody can talk a good game, but it's another thing when people can really be about the game. So that was my first point. You can meet the right person at the wrong time. Don't let your current situation or their current situation deter you. Give them time to get themselves together. If God puts it in your spirit to be there and help them, encourage them, but don't be foolish. Don't put so much of yourself out there where you can get used. Use common sense. And like I said, the third issue was your type is not going to always work for you. Sometimes the person you least expect, the person you would least be attracted to, and it ain't so much just looks. When I say attracted, it ain't just look wise. Being attracted to that person's spirit, being attracted to that person emotionally. Sometimes the main person that you're not attracted to and can very well end up being the person that's meant for you. So don't let these Tyler Perry movies, these romance novels, these Ebony and Essence magazines, and these people and these content creators on the YouTube street pollute you with what's a good black man and what's a good black woman. A lot of them don't know. They don't have the answers. That's your decision that you got to make. You don't define your happiness off of what other people have already programmed you to believe. Because love doesn't work that way. Love is not built on a foundation of perfection. And a lot of y'all could have been had y'all a good companion a long time ago. You could have been had a good black woman. Could have had a good black man. But you sitting up here listening to all this garbage. And you going in these chat rooms and you high-fiving these content creators that got all this negative philosophies that they are polluting your spirits and your mental well-being with. But as I stated, this is just during the dating phase, and I'm going to be breaking down all of the elements to that. The next stage I'm going to go into is I'm going to go more into depth with the part 3 pertaining to marriage, because this is the part where when you're past the honeymoon stage, you're past the dating stage, now here comes the marriage. And when it comes to marriage, marriage is a whole horse of a whole nother color. It's a totally different dynamic, you know. And marriage is a very, very sacred thing that people don't need to just be opinionating on marriage all type of way, because marriage is very sacred. Marriage is an anointing. It's just not something that you can allow people to guide you any type of way upon, because not everybody understands the real significance of marriage, the sacredness behind marriage, and the fact that marriage is designed to go through trials and tribulations. We have people out here in these outside influences that's telling us your marriage, if you don't have this, if your husband ain't got this, y'all shouldn't be married. If your wife ain't got that, y'all shouldn't be married. If y'all don't own no home by now, y'all don't have any kids by now. Everybody has their own damn theories of what makes a marriage. And the truth of the matter is, all these people that got theories, half of them ain't been married long enough to be given advice, or they've never been married, or they've been on their own wife number 3, 4, husband number 5. So you can't take advice from any of these people, because they don't have the tenacity to know what it takes to really make a marriage survive. And I'm definitely going to be the captain to steer you in the right direction for all my folks that are married, or for all of my folks that are thinking about getting married. But again, there's so much negative perspective about black men and black women being together, and it has nothing to do with that. It has everything to do with you as a man and you as a woman, what y'all are willing to do to make it work. Marriage is what you make it. There's nothing wrong with marriage. Marriage could be beautiful, it could be a blessing, but again, it takes 2 strong-minded, mature, God-fearing, spiritual-filled people to put in the work and to put in the effort. Because the truth of the matter is, everybody's not built for marriage. Everybody wants the benefits of marriage, but very rarely can people deal with the responsibilities. And that is the part that I'm going to be schooling y'all upon. The realism of what comes with marriage, because it's too many of us, we have the concept of what marriage is about all screwed up, and it's not y'all fault, because y'all been hearing garbage from the YouTube streets, y'all been hearing garbage from the barber shop, from the nail shop, from the beauty salon, even y'all little cookouts. Y'all been hearing a lot of garbage. People have polluted y'all minds with all this pathetic philosophies, these stereotypes, and I'm going to cleanse your brain of all that negativity if only you would subject and take heed to this knowledge. So when you listen to this series, make sure your mind is clear and clean of all these negative, polluted thoughts that society has programmed into your brain about black men and black women. So anyway, y'all, I'm going to get ready to shut it down. Again, this was part 2 of the Black Love Chronicles. Love doesn't always come when we expect and who we expect it from. So again, we have to be in reality that your future wife may not be the Instagram model that you're lusting over, you know, or the chick you seen in the strip club with the big booty. That may not be designed to be your wife. Your wife may be somebody you never had in mind, that may not have the ping pow, but has a wonderful heart and a wonderful spirit, and she has everything. God has given her everything as your wife to help you to be the best husband that you could possibly be, and vice versa for my ladies. Your husband may not be no NBA player. Your husband may not be an athlete or a rapper. He may not be a CEO of a record company. Your husband may, your future destined husband may drive dump trucks. You know, he may be the manager of Zaxby's. That's just the reality of it. He may not have all of the credentials, but it doesn't mean that he's not designed and destined for you and you're not destined for him. So anyway, y'all, make sure you like, share, subscribe these series, because I really want people to be woken. We've been hibernating off of all this negative garbage, you know, and these stereotypes that the black community has been polluting our brains with. So make sure you share this material, whether if you do it on Facebook, Instagram, you know, email it to a friend, because it's people that are giving up on black love, and I want them to really marinate off of these series, you know, because I want them to know that it is possible, regardless of the negative things that you're hearing in the YouTube streets and everywhere else. And also hit the notification bell, so when our part 3 comes up, you will be the first in on it, okay? So again, if you didn't check out part 1, please go back and refer to part 1 so you can be in alignment with the recipe that's at hand. So again, y'all, it is your girl, Lady Mocha, and remember, if you want to donate, you're welcome to do so. My PayPal account is to the bottom. You're not obligated. I don't care if it's $1 or $2, any little bit helps. But on that note, y'all, until next time, remember, I'm your girl, Lady Mocha, and I'm going to always pour you a cup of truth and break you off with a slice of knowledge. Y'all take care, and I'll be uploading that part 3 very soon, so be on the lookout. And this is signing off with Black Chronicles, Black Love Chronicles, part 2.